Hello all. Today we have added a new implementation, CSV implementation to the data-driven framework, which will read the test data from the CSV file. So you can go through the blog and you can see what are the prerequisites and setting the environment, working with the example program and execution. Working with CSV version 3.0, it contains the implementation for reading the test data from the CSV file along with implementation for reading the test data from the workbook and XML file. So click on the repository and download the DDF version 3.0.zip file. So make sure whenever you are downloading the zip file, you are downloading the latest version. So don't go with 1.0 or 2.0. So because it does not contain the implementation for reading the data from the CSV file. So click on the DDF version 3.0 zip file and click on the download button present on the bottom right corner of the page. So download the zip file. So it will be download in the download folder. Extract the zip file. So once the zip file is extracted, it contains the docs. It contains the Java docs. You click on the index.html, which will open a Java docs. Examples, release notes, and jar file. Copy the jar file. Write into your lib folder of your Eclipse IDE. Eclipse and copy the example folder into the source folder of your Eclipse IDE project. Yeah. Let me open the example program for reading the test data from the CSV file. So it's showing the compilation errors since the Java build path is not set. So it does not, for reading the test data from the CSV file, it does not depend on other jar files. Like we have a workbook wrapper which depends on POI API. So this does not depend on other jar file. It has an implementation on its own. I mean, it does not require any other jar files. So let me set the Java build path, add jar file. So once the Java build path is set, so there are no comparison. Just I want to make sure again. There is only jar file, one jar file, ah-ddf 3.0 jar file. Yeah. So once build path is set, if you want to read the test data from the CSV file, so there is you need to set the file path. So whatever the file path which is present here, so we need you need to replace. So wherever you copy the project Eclipse deep, wherever you copy the source code or examples code, the path may be differing from machine to machine. So click on the properties. Let me update the path. Yeah, path is updated. And let me open the CSV file. So CSV file contains the four sets of data, 2, 3, and 4. Ignore the first line. Ignore the first line, first row, because the first row contains the header. It contains the header information. So the data begins from the second row. So there are four sets of data and a flight number ending with 4, 2, 3, and 25. So let me run the program. Right click on the Java file, click on run as test test. See how fast it's executing. So flight number ending with 4, 2, 3, and 25, four sets of data. So, and run as 4. As there are four sets of test data, it is execute. It reads the four sets of test data. So let me add another set of data. Say Singapore Airlines. May the flight number is 26 and say it's 2nd August. So we have altogether 5 sets of test data. Test data with 5 rows. Now when you execute the program, it should show the test run as 4. Sorry, 5 test run as 5 because it has 5 sets of data ending with 25 flight number and 26 and 4, 2, and 3. So this is the main advantage. Here you need not take care of how it reading the test data from the CSV file. You should take care of three things. One, uh, its wrapper is the API interface, and the CSV wrapper is the implementation for the uh, wrapper API, and set parameter, the file path you need to set it, and just call the read to test data method, which will read the test data from the CSV file, and this will read the once so each time. For example, if your CSV file has 5 rows, then hash map will create a data provide or reverse test data method will create a 5 hash map object with the corresponding data. So data provider will have a 5 rows means 5 hash map object. So data provider will be calling the test method 5 times. Each time a new hash map object with its corresponding data. So how do one the CSV hash map is created and data provider will present a hash map? How do I read that uh, data present in the CSV file? So this is nothing but it is implemented in such a way. Header, if you see the header, this is the hash map entry. It has a key and this is the value. This key and this is the value. Sorry, this is the value. This is a key and this is the value. Similarly for each one of those, for first row, one hash map object with flight name as key and value as the uh, kingfisher, and another key into the hash map, first hash map instance with flight number as key and value as 104. Similarly it goes on uh, till the end of the column. So again the CSV wrapper implementation, again it goes to the next row. Again a new hash map instance is created with a key and the value. So it goes on till the end of the file. So this is the way how it works. So you need not take it, and make sure one more thing. So here what are the header should match with the hash map dot key. So even if it is a typo mistake, e is missing, so it will return null. So this is the nothing but the header name present in the CSV file. So let me show, and one more thing. So by mistake, if there are any enter keys is enter key space by the user by mistake, and the file is saved with the blank lines. Does not worry, the tool will take care. It does not have any issue. If you run this, if you run the program, so it will show the five sets of data. There is no issue even if there are blank lines. And one more thing is so sometimes, so if you have, if your automation framework whatever you have written, you read the data based on the comma separator, string tokenizer, or split with comma. So in case by mistake if it is any commas are entered, so in that case, uh, the utility method, whoever author from for his framework may not work. So it does not have issue even if there is by mistake if there is any uh, commas added into the CSV file. Let me show. So it does not have any issue. See, it does not have any issue. So what if the data is removed for the date? Say here the first row. So date has the flight name, flight number, and airport. It does not have date. So in that case, what it does is, so key is there and the value. So as I said, each row is nothing but a hash map instance in terms of CSV wrapper implementation. So it has a name. So coming to here data, it has a key but does not have any value. So in that case, it returns a null for the first hash map instance. Let me execute the program. So if you see, date has null because hash map instance does not contain the value for the key date. That's the reason it's showing a null. So what if I remove the date header? So it will read till the flight name, flight number, airport. If you try to enter the date, so date is nothing but date. So uh, coming to the hash map instance, I already said. So each row is nothing but a hash map instance in the CSV wrapper implementation. It has a key flight name, flight number, and airport. And the hash map instance does not have a date. So in that case, so it's a hash map, a basic fundamentals. So if you're trying to get the value from the hash map, so hash map does not have a key. In that case, it will return the null. So the same thing. So date header name is not present in the hash map. Means hash map does not have a key date into the key key as date into the hash map. So when you call the date, then it will return null. Let me go with executing program. See, it returns null, right? So these are the advantage with the CSV wrapper. So, so one more advantage is whenever if you are working with this wrapper, CSV wrapper, or Excel wrapper, XML wrapper, uh, you need to remember how the implementation is. So if you see, let me open the XML or workbook wrapper. So if you see, there is no difference live about this one. So here a set parameter read to test data, set parameter read to test data. So everything is similar. So unless and until if you carefully observe, its wrapper name is changing. Wrapper name, it's CSV wrapper. Here it's the Excel wrapper for reading the test data from the uh, workbook, and the file path is changing. So that's all. And it has one more additional parameter like sheet name. So once you start working with data-driven framework which we have created, so you do not feel any difficulty when you are working with reading the data, fresh data from the different file format, CSV or XML or workbook. So one more issue, the limitation with the tool is, say say for example, let me set the password for the Excel file. Say, let me copy the file path. So, so I know it. I'm using the CSV wrapper, but I'm passing the file path as file path for workbook file. So even I'm using the CSV wrapper, and I'm passing the param file path, setting a file path for workbook XLS file. So actually, we have not implemented the file type validation. If you are working with CSV wrapper, so the implementation should only allow the uh, CSV file types. It should not allow XLS. But we have not implemented any validation. So uh, it performs, it results in the weird behavior. So whenever you are working with a CSV wrapper, make sure that you are passing the CSV file path, CSV file type. So anyway, we will be coming with a new updated version. So where it will check, where it will validate the file path for the corresponding wrapper. So in case if you are passing the for the CSV wrapper, if you are passing the XLS or XLS XML file, so there itself it will validate. So we will be coming in the new version for validating the file path or file types. So let me execute. Here you can see the weird behavior is observed in the while executing. So run as test ng. If you see some run but for this is the chunk data. So right now we have not validating the file type for CSV wrapper, pathing the file path XLS. So in the upcoming versions we will add the file type validation. This is the limitation with the tool. So whatever the wrapper you are working with, workbook wrapper or Excel wrapper or XML wrapper, make sure you are passing the proper file type. So that's all from my side. Uh, thanks all. Have a nice day.